We were talking to Jamie Shaw, the national recruiting analyst for Rivals.com. NC State is facing a really important class of 2023, which at one point looked like it was going to be on steroids on players that are playing high school in North Carolina. Now, several of them are now no longer playing high school in North Carolina. Two in particular that have been long-time NC State targets are guard Robert Dillingham, who is from Hickory, North Carolina, and played at Combine Academy, and then big man Brandon White, who was originally in the class of 2022, went to high school at North Rowan, and then reclassed to 2023 at Winston-Salem Christian, and now both of them are at Donda Academy, which is the new school at Simi Valley, California, that Kanye West, the famous rapper entrepreneur, has formed. We've never seen anything quite like this, but at the end of the day, these are the two players that NC State has badly wanted. Why have the Wolfpack invested as much time as they can on Dillingham and White? And we'll start with Dillingham, who is a five-star guy who just officially visited the Wolfpack.
Before we jump into Dillingham, you say Simi Valley, California. I didn't know that it was in Simi Valley. I know it was in California. Yeah. But you say it makes me think immediately of Don McLean.
Sure, and former UCLA player.
American Pie. So the song and everything too. But yeah, so Simi Valley, California. That's immediately what I thought about when you said that. But yeah, Dillingham. The interesting thing about Donda Academy, the interesting thing about Kanye West, they're Adidas. NC State is Adidas. That's an interesting tie there. I think that not a lot of people are. That maybe not be talked about a ton. Brandon White played this summer with Team United, Nike school. Robert Dillingham played this summer with CP3, also a Nike school too. So now they are attending a school that is a premier Adidas program. That's working in NC State's favor. Also, what NC State has is Kevin Keats. Kevin Keats really connects with players. He really connects with kids. He really connects with these teenagers and all that as well. So you have an Adidas push behind the player, and then you have a closer, I guess you can call him, in Kevin Keats there. So the playing field is set for NC State to be a factor with these guys. You have Robert Dillingham. He's a high-level scorer. No stage is too big for him. He loves the bright lights. He performs when the lights are probably the brightest. He's able to score the basketball. He's able to get to his spots. And he's an alpha type of player. He's an alpha type of mentality and a very quiet and subdued type of body, I guess. So being a local kid like that, he has a lot of influence, too, on players throughout the country as well. So putting all your eggs in a Dillingham basket is a smart thing to do because it's a splash. You know, he's got 100,000 followers on Instagram. Kids around the country know who Robert Dillingham is. Robert Dillingham has players who want to come play with him. As obvious with the Donda Academy thing, he helped recruit that roster. High-level players want to play with Robert Dillingham too. So all that, courtside talent-wise, we have him number 12 or 11 right now, I think, in Rivals. Elite talent. But everything else surrounding that too with Dillingham, there's a lot of positives in going all after a Robert Dillingham type of player too. Brandon White, the other one that you mentioned, I think we have him in the 40s or 50s right now at Rivals in 2023. He is an elite shot blocker, and that is what he does. He has an innate ability, an innate timing, length to block shots. Kevin Keats, on the back line of his defense, as you've seen with Manny Bates, needs that type of shot blocking rim protection on the back end. With all the gambling and everything that they do, we saw it again. This is another thing we saw in the Elizabeth City State scrimmage. The guards did a great job pressuring up top. Once they broke that initial line of pressure, without Manny Bates in that lineup, they struggled a little bit, finishing and scoring and stopping them once they got past that initial line of defense. With a guy like a Brandon White, who blocks shots and protects the rim at such a high level, that allows the guards to be even more aggressive up top and do all that. Kevin Keats thrives on that. Kevin Keats' defense needs a rim protector. Brandon White is a high-level rim protector on the back end of that type of defense too. Again, the Donda Academy Adidas push, Kevin Keats, ability to connect with these kids. There's a lot of things to put around these homegrown North Carolina players that could work in NC State's favor.
In the class of 2024, I wasn't sure how deep it was going to be, but it's starting to get some depth to it. And there's definitely two guys that are clear at the top who both made the Rivals recent updated rankings. And they're the two guys that NC State has offered. Jaron Stevenson, who is from Pittsboro, North Carolina, or basically lives around there. He just unofficially visited the Wolfpack over the weekend to see the Louisville football game. And then Paul Mcneil, who comes from football powerhouse, Richmond County, down in Rockingham?
Yep,
Rockingham, down towards the Fayetteville area, south of it.
Yes, right on the state line of South Carolina.
Yeah. And State has had
greatness.
And State they have two players from that football program that they landed in the last couple of years. What do you like about those two guys in 2024, and what kind of potential down the road do they have in terms of their long range?
Paul Mcneil, we'll start with him. He's a 6'6" wing. First off, he a lot of times kids when they're bigger, younger, they get stuck in the post. Paul Mcneil has been a wing his entire life, so he's got natural wing ability at a wing size already at 6'5", 6'6". Good length. He's got touch. He's got ball skills. There's just a lot to look at. And my first time seeing Paul Mcneil was around this time last year. It was in a fall league, the 9-dime fall league that Charles Clark puts on down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He went up head-to-head against DeMarco Dunn. Richmond Senior versus Westover High School.
And Dunn is a freshman at UNC right now?
Yes, Dunn was a top 75 player in last year's class, a freshman at UNC this year. Dunn, one of the smoothest high school players that I've seen play high school. Well, Paul Mcneil gave him 21 points. 21 points and like 12 rebounds. Paul Mcneil in that game, my first time seeing him, played at the high post. So he was 18 feet in and did just an unbelievable job with his feel and his ability. That being said, that was prior to his freshman year of high school. So that was coming off of an 8th grade summer before he went to high school, playing against DeMarco Dunn, who's one of the smooth, most polished players in the country. And he did that type of stuff. Between those next 12 months, then and now, Mcneil has developed his game. He's stretched it out to the three-point line, put the ball on the floor, shooting it smoothly. He's still developing his strength. He's still developing his balance and his footwork and all that type of stuff that comes as the natural progression as people in general get older. But there's a confidence in his game. There's also a feel for his game, and there's a skill set. And he's already got the 6'5", 6'6" length and all that type of stuff too. So as he continues to add to his pieces, the baseline is there. It's just going to continue to get better. Jaron Stevenson, on the other hand, he led his Northwood High School team last year with Drake Powell all the way to the state championship game. Now they dropped the state championship game to Weddington, who was just on a tear last year, undefeated. But as a freshman, as the leading scorer freshman on the team, he did a great job. What's so interesting about him is, again, the feel that he has. He's not a drop step, dunk it 2 hands on your head type of guy. He can score from anywhere on the court. He's 6'9". He can post up and make a play. Help side defense comes, he passes away from the double team. Plays your man one-on-one, he has the feel, he can go left hand, right hand. He can also face up. He can catch the ball up at the top, rip through, get one dribble, pull up jump shot, catch and shoot jump shot. He's got a full array, a full gamut of basketball moves from all over the court already at 6'9" as a freshman, now a sophomore in high school. He's got basketball pedigree. His dad played at Richmond, 1,500 point scorer, 10-year pro overseas in Korea. His dad was. His mom also played at UNC. They went to high school together, I believe, in Fayetteville. Both of them from Fayetteville. Went to high school together. Dad went to Richmond. Mom went to UNC. Mom's like 6'3", I believe. Dad like 6'7". Dad now the high school coach and stuff. So he's got the basketball pedigree in him, and he's being taught by people who played the game at a high level as well. The interesting question with him is going to be how much pop he develops in his game and how big he gets. If he gets to 6'11" or so, or develops that athleticism and that pop in his game, the sky could be the limit for how good he is. But again, just like with Mcneil, the initial baseline of skill is already at a high level. Now everything else added is kind of gravy.
And you mentioned his high school. It's a unique situation. And who do they play in their season opener this year for Wolfpack fans who want to get a look at Jaron Stevenson and someone else you just mentioned, Drake Powell?
Correct. Yeah. So I guess Jaron Stevenson went to Northwood High School last year. The population of Northwood High School got so big that they needed to make another public school in the area, which happened to be Seaforth High School. That's the high school that now Jaron Stevenson's district to go to. So it's not like he transferred to a public school or transferred wherever. He's districted now. This is the school that he's districted to go to. They just opened a new school with that. His dad happens to be the head coach. Well, first game of the year, as JC informs me last week, is going to be against Drake Powell, Northwood High School. That should be one to watch. Drake Powell is also another player in the 24 class that possibly the NC State fans should get to know at least, as things could be trending that way toward it. But the 24 class as a whole in the state of North Carolina is shaping up to be super interesting and could be kind of deep at the high major level as we go through 22 and 23, where there's not really a ton of no-brainer high major players in North Carolina in that class. 24 is shaping up because then when you add the Drake Powells, when you add the Jordan Vicks and the Raquise Passmores, and you add the Kaney Chandas and the Austin Schwartz, and I'm sure I'm leaving some names out, but when you start adding those pieces together, there's a lot of basketball talent in that 24 class in North Carolina and nationally as well. And it's trending back up talent-wise, and NC State's obviously right in the middle of it.
And for updates on these guys throughout the year, where can they find you on Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at JamieShaw5, JAMIESHAW 5, and make sure you keep checking out the National Rivals Recruiting Board on the basketball side.